From some smoke. Doesn't get prettier than that. I don't remember it. And a one-hand effort by Harris. Harris stabs it.
Welcome all. Another edition of the College Football Print Factory here. We got Tony doing double duty coming off the NFL Showdown show that he just did with JSU. Be sure to check that out tonight as well for the Chargers and Chiefs in Brazil. And we got Bruce here as always as well, repping the Lionel Messi throwback jersey, the PSG baby. And he just submitted so much of the week one stats to us that I'm so grateful for. And we're going to have a great time on this slate. Bruce, how are you doing, my man?
Doing great. I think we did pretty well last week. Had a couple of issues with Nolan Ray, but we nailed the Purdue guys, and Michael Jackson smashed for us. So ready to get into this week. Solid slate all the way around. I think the night slates are really great. I started with those this week and, really dug into them and, just ready to smash again. It feels good to have college football back and NFL back as well.
Yes, lots of football over the next 17 weeks or so. You're gonna have your hands full with that. And Bruce, you were right. The Purdue stacks, I mean, they just hit early on. That was the number one thing is if you faded Brown at all and you just see that first quarter, you had to be down bad. And then Michael Jackson wasn't doing anything. Then sure enough, becomes the top scoring wide receiver for them. It ended up being a Purdue slate, which, I mean, that's what we kind of talked about too. Just like, it was risky to fade, but, that's kind of what happened, though. And they put up all those points and just put them up easily as well. Tony, how you doing, man?
Excellent. Always good to get back into college foots. We were just talking NFL the last couple days. I still like college. I mean, obviously everyone likes NFL football, but there's something to be said for college. We got to get old Arch back on track. I can't have Bruce mad at me. I mean, when he goes down, I made fun of Arch on the show. He did bad. I feel bad because Bruce, I don't like anyone more than Bruce. Bruce is my favorite person at Run Pure. I don't like upsetting him, and I can't help it when I make fun of Arch. It was an ugly one, but now I looked at his schedule. The next, I think 3 games, he's gonna put up some big numbers the next 3 games. So I think Bruce is gonna be happy the next couple of weeks on the show. I'm excited for another week though. And last week was ugly. Some of the stuff we hit was good, but as far as the overall football, like the Ohio State game was super ugly. What was the three main games? All of them played pretty ugly for early season football. So I think each week the games get more and more by the book and what you would expect. And we get some numbers. It's always, at least for me, I always like to, even one game sample, you can kind of see where the snaps went, the touches, where everything went. And each week we can get more comfortable with it. I am definitely excited for this week, though. And tonight we got another slate. The slate tonight looks absolutely terrible, but the slate tomorrow looks good.
You're not much of a Louisville guy there, Big T. You're not going to be.
I don't like when there's a 3-game and all 3 games are like 20-point spreads and stuff. Yeah. And it's just it makes it a little difficult. But
yeah. Oh, absolutely. But luckily, we got a 12-game slate ahead. Some very, very healthy totals as well. I think the game that will probably be the one to kind of watch for Baylor SMU. Obviously, both teams. It's a massive total there. Penn State again on the slate, being a 6-touchdown favorite or whatever, which is just crazy. They keep getting put on a slate even after last week. Kentucky, who upset Ole Miss last year and ruined their playoff hopes in hindsight. You also got Oregon on the slate, a little bit different than last time. And then obviously Arch Manning will get to take advantage of San Jose State, which a lot of people won't realize this, but that's a 9 a.m. kickoff for San Jose State. That's I do not want to be San Jose State going into Texas after an L to Ohio State there. Lots to talk about, lots to get to. Should be a great time. Don't forget to sign up for Run Pure Sports as well. The prices are as cheap as they have ever been. If you want a special promo code, maybe Big T will hook you up. I mean, he might not be doing that much longer. If you want to sign up, you better hit him up ASAP. I mean, there's a chance that special promo code could go away anytime. So I just want to get it out there. And Big T, you got anything to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a big push this week. This is the time of year to get in Run Pure because you get college, you get NFL, you get SaberSim, you get everything you could possibly need in there. So let me know if you want a promo code. Best time to get in. Also, that $100, it's an NFL contest, but I think we're up to about 150 people in that. Still signups too. I talked about it on the NFL show, but those of you watching on this one, $100 the whole year of NFL, every weeknight showdown in main slate NFL. We're going to do weekly prizes. Bunch of people were asking about the format, and so it's going to be top 10 will get points. So it's not going to just be the points of the contest because there's showdowns and main slates. It's different than points there, all that kind of stuff. If you finish top 10, you'll say first place 15 points, second place like 12. 9, and then if you're in the contest, you'll get 1. If you got first, you'll get points, Joe Ruff. And then each weekly, so Monday would be the last of the week in the NFL. The gambling week always ends Monday. So after Monday, whoever's first place for that week will get money and gear. And then at the end of the season, the top 5 overall, again, you'll get points, top 10. So most points at the end, top 5 will get money too. But check it out, $100 the whole year. All you got to do, slide into my DMs or just send $100 to Tony-Niehaus on Venmo. Put your DK handle in there, and we're good to go. But let's have some fun. Hop in there. Also, do we know who won last week? Because we did the contest in the comments. I didn't actually look. I need to.
No one hit the high score, I'm pretty sure.
Who?
No, I don't think anyone hit the high score last week.
No one hit it. Oh,
I don't think so.
They corrected me because they said I need to do it at the end because people are bored by the end and they don't listen to us all the way through. That's what our boss, Johnny Sarabian, said. So this time, let's do it. Same thing as last week, except right now, because I know people are still listening right now, even the rewatchers. In the comments, not these comments right here. What do they call it, Rubio? The YouTube comments.
YouTube comments. Not the
after the video gets posted, first click the like button because that helps us a lot. Second, put whoever you think the main slate on DraftKings, our partner DraftKings, who is the leading scorer of the whole slate. If you get it, you get some gear from us. Maybe even let's do it. Let's kick it in, make it even better. You get $100 single entry too. $100 single entry and the gear. If you get the highest scoring person on this slate, and if somehow 2 of you pick it, it's whoever picked it first. We'll look at the time. So after the show, click the like button, YouTube comments, whoever the highest leading scorer is. Live viewers not getting the shaft because
Oh, I love that. I'm looking up who was the winning guy last time out. I can't find it. It's not my recent. I'll have to check that a little bit later. But yes, that is the one thing. I'll double check to make sure that Riles, I also liked Mendoza last week. But we move on. We move on, baby. And us live viewers getting the shaft. Well, hey, when the show ends, J-Rock, that's a big advantage. You get the first pick of the litter there. You're going to be able to pick the first guy you want. It's like having the 1-1 and complaining about it, J-Rock. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dig it down to the slate. We got Texas Tech taking on Kent State. Big news to watch here is that starting quarterback Morton is questionable for this one, and it looks like Will Hammond would probably be given the keys to the vehicle here, and a team total that is extremely healthy on the slate. Very priced up, though. I think that's the thing to kind of look at here, Bruce. What are you doing with Texas Tech? And obviously no interest in Kent State, right?
Yeah, this is Kent State's one of the worst teams in college. They barely squeaked by something called Merrimack College last week, 21-17. So yeah, this should be a beatdown. They have someone named Drew DeShield starting at quarterback, who surprisingly is a white. I had to look him up yesterday. I had no idea. But yeah, it should be a smash by Texas Tech. If Morton doesn't go, Hammond's going to go, and he's a runner too. So definitely going to be on him if he's starting. They shouldn't need Morton here, so I think they should start Hammond, but we'll see. He is 8,300, and it's going to blow out for sure. If you're not playing him, you're playing one of the running backs. It looks like Dickey got the start last week and played 40% of the snaps. Jacoby Williams also saw some. I'd rather play Dickey than Williams here. Both are solid, but expensive. And then, all the receivers are priced up too. 7,900 for Caleb Douglas. He's their wide receiver one. Virgil and Eakin are expensive too. I think if I'm playing one, I'm playing Terrence Carter, the tight end for 3,800. He scored twice last week, and he's a stud. So, yeah, mostly sticking with the running game, or just playing Hammond naked, or with Terrence Carter.
Yeah, I like that. And I think the big thing to note here, Bruce, is that last week Texas Tech faced an absolute gauntlet called Arkansas State. Arkansas Pine Bluff, never mind. I take that back. It's even worse. Arkansas Pine Bluff, and then they kind of carried on that momentum into Kent State. And that is just some great stuff there. But also, we have a very clear sample of what they want to do in blowouts. And Tony, like last week, how many receivers do you think played above 50% of the snaps? 51%. None. So you're going to kind of be looking at that. You had 0 guys play above 51% of the snaps in a blowout, which that's kind of to be expected. Cameron Dickey last week, and this is all through the sheet that Bruce put together. So any of these numbers I'm regurgitating. Bruce did all the work, and it makes me look halfway decent when I'm talking about this. But
did you thank him?
Of course I thank Bruce. I gave him an exclamation point. I gave him an exclamation point so he knew it wasn't sarcastic there. But we get 40% of the snaps for Dickey. You had about 30% of the snaps for Williams, and Adam Hill cleaned up with about 28%. Big T, I mean, this is a tougher spot to kind of decipher just because they're priced up. The total is healthy. And what are you doing with this game?
I don't even know why games like this are on the slate. Like personally, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's stupid. I mean, the spread's friggin' 49 points and the total's 59. It just doesn't make any sense. But the good thing it gets me, you got a quarterback that is banged up. Like, all right, is that why, Bruce? He's banged up?
Yeah, I hurt his leg. I think it was a knee, maybe.
But like you said, it's just a great point. Like, it's a huge spread. Why you don't even really need to consider. And we have other big time quarterbacks on this slate. I see no reason. But then you look at running backs. You got 2 guys that are priced way up, Dickey and Williams, 8,600 and 7,300, with big projections. I mean, 22 and 19 projections. But in a 49-10 game, and these are where we love college, you got old number 3, Mr. Adam Hill, projected for a decent number at 3,500. And if there's something I like, it's a powerhouse, or not a Texas Tech isn't a powerhouse, but they're a powerhouse against Kent. When I get that third, fourth quarter of Adam Hill going downhill on these guys, I freaking love Adam Hill in this spot. 3,500. He's going to be unowned. And
you'll love him when you see him too. He's your type of guy for sure.
What are we looking at? What are we working with here? Let me
Taysom Hill.
He's 6'1", 230, white. So
white.
We are in.
I mean, I love that. And I think you could play 2 again. I don't know. I mean, this slate is pretty good. Like last week, there wasn't a ton of really good plays. This week, there's a lot of really good plays, I think. I don't know if I can really get up to these price points for these other running backs, but I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate running one of the stud guys with Adam Hill. And Dickey's obviously going to get the most ownership because he's got a bigger projection than Jacoby. But that makes Jacoby interesting for me too. Like if you play Jacoby and Adam Hill together, I think you're insanely low owned and unique. And I think they both could just absolutely crush. So I'm kind of in on these Texas Tech running backs a decent amount.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I mean, there's a lot of value on the slate. Adam Hill had 8 touches last game for 78 yards, right? And you're talking about 3,500. If he got 10 touches against Kent State, you could be looking at easily double digits, but also potentially much more at no ownership, like you said. Jacoby Williams had 6 carries, 56 yards. Dickey 12 for 90 and a touchdown, right? Williams scored as well. The big news here that Hobbs just said that Pete Thamel reported that Morton will start earlier today. So if you were interested in Will Hammond, obviously. You might not know until like 11:45 for certain, but yeah, it doesn't look like I wouldn't play a hurt Morton at all. I'd rather just stay away from maybe this game entirely, just because the pricing. And Adam Hill is like one of those shouts, Big T, but like and we got some 3K guys who are going to be very, very formidable options.
How many of them are going against Kent, though, at 1% owned?
I mean, yeah,
you got to put some some hair on your sack.
I didn't say it was a bad play. I did not dismiss it. I did say
you kind of dismissed it. Bruce, didn't he dismiss it a little bit there on me? I mean, that was a little bit of a dismissal.
Yeah, just a small bit.
Okay, you know what? Maybe it was my tone. Here, hold on.
You were making fun of me. I felt a little. You were making fun of me a little bit in that.
No, that's not true. You played LaShawn Williams for Kansas that time. I praised you, and I said it on the next show. I said
This is the third stringer, though. This isn't even the second stringer.
You know what? Yeah, you're going deep in your bag. Great job. All right, so Baylor going to SMU here. This is a big game here. Both teams with very healthy team totals. Kevin Jennings, one of the better quarterbacks to watch in football as well. The one thing with them is that you just kind of got a little bit of cheap options overall. You got Jalen Cooper, you got Romello Brinson, TJ Harden, RJ Maryland, great tight end as well. And then for Baylor, Bryson Washington. So this is as someone who played Bryson Washington on was it the night slate last week, I believe.
Wasn't it Friday? Yeah, it was Friday.
Yeah, it might have been Friday because Claiborne got hurt that slate, and I thought I had the stones. I ended up doing pretty well, but I thought I had the stones with Bryson Washington, and he ended up doing nothing. His one long run that almost was a touchdown was called back. But the thing that I noted, Bruce, that I didn't really know right away, but he actually, on this slate, he had the second highest snap share for running backs. So 73% of the snaps went his way. If you were watching that game, you would have thought Caden Knighton probably had a larger workload because I watched Caden Knighton vulture a damn touchdown from him and played one of those drives because Washington kind of got banged up. Is this a spot for Bryson Washington? Even though he's 8,900, are you able to kind of fit him in here as one of the top backs on the slate?
Yeah. So if you watched a lot of Baylor last year, you would have been very, very tilted by Dawson Pendergrass, who did the same thing that Knighton did. Week after week. So yeah, it's I think this game is definitely going to have some ownership just because it's probably going to have very little defense, maybe on both sides. I thought Kevin Jennings looked a little rusty last week in the first half and then got going a little bit later. So and then Baylor's defense just got gashed by Auburn. So Kevin Jennings can show up to a big game, then maybe this could be a fun game here. The running back situation for SMU is an interesting one. I thought Chris Johnson Jr. Actually looked the best out of all of the three backs last week. When I watched, he's a Miami transfer and he's only 3,200. He only played about a quarter of the snaps though, so a little sketchy there. But he'll definitely make the playbook at that price. I think he's a solid player. And then we have TJ Harden, who transferred in from UCLA, who's played most of the snaps, 40% of all the running backs. He looked solid as well. So I don't mind those guys. And then you have Josh Cameron. He didn't do much against Auburn, but he's always the big play guy for them. He's 6K here. That's not terrible. And Trigg smashed. We had 16 targets from the tight end position last week. The middle of the field was just so open, so he took advantage of it. And then Cole Wilson, 4,600, had 12 targets. So there's going to be some passing in this game, and I think both teams like to go fast, spread things out. Romello Brinson for SMU also had a big game last week. Had 9 targets, and it's always tough trying to nail SMU receivers just because they rotate a ton. But Brinson played most of the snaps when the starters were in there, so I don't mind going with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. And you mentioned that Trigg just absolutely smashed last night. I do remember that very, very vividly. The big thing to kind of note as well was the fact that, with SMU's wide receivers compared to Baylor, Baylor's snap counts were, very clear, right? I think at the end of the day, if you were to look at who plays a ton for them, you would end up, and the surprising one was Ashton Hawkins, right? Because he was super cheap on that Friday slate. He ended up playing 99% of the snaps. So basically all but one play in that game, which, his price is still at 5K. Looked halfway decent. You have Michael Trigg. I mean, he's only 4,300. He'll play nearly the whole game. And then Josh Cameron. Those three dudes are still going to be on the field most of the time, along with Bryson Washington. It kind of makes the Baylor team a little bit more predictable than SMU, because when you go to SMU, No one got above 70% of the snaps. That's not to say anything. They always kind of rotate. But Jalen Cooper, for those wondering, as Stone Men 3K, but you're getting 69% of the snaps there. And again, just because something happens in week 1 doesn't mean it's going to happen in week 2. But at the same time, you got a guy who's going to be on the field for over half the game at Stone Men. Tony's looking at shops at that one, especially in a healthy total. I'm wild prediction, Tony. I feel like you're going to be game stacking this one. Am I right or am I wrong?
I don't like it as much as you guys.
No way.
I like Jennings, but like the SMU side always gives me nightmares besides him. They just do weird stuff, and I do like the Baylor. Like Baylor last week, so they were really good. Robertson was solid. Bryson Washington looked good at times. Trigg looked amazing. I remember typing in the Discord like Trigg's just a monster. 4,300. I played Josh Cameron last week. He was bad, but I think it's a bounce back spot for Josh Cameron too at 6K. No one's going to play him. He was a beast last year, right, Bruce? Or am I remembering it wrong?
Yeah, Josh Cameron. Yeah, he's really good. I mean, I think he had like 13 touchdown catches or something.
That's what I mean. Like, I played him last week, so maybe I'm a little partial. But I feel like he's the guy in this game that no one's going to play. I mean, Bruce has him projected for 15, a bit better than Trigg, who's going to be way chalkier. A lot of people are going to look at this game. So I think one way I could game stack it would just be to play Jennings on SMU and then play Robertson and Cameron. And I think I have to play Trigg, even though he'll be popular. But yeah, I think that's where I'm at. Cameron, Trigg. I'm not going to play Bryson Washington all that much. 8,900. And then SMU, I don't see anything I like. I mean, yeah, can I play a 3K guy? Sure, but I'll take my 3K guy over Jalen Cooper. Although I did see this picture in the Discord that Bruce posted. I don't know. It's a little sketchy. He's got Mangone's hair out there, so that's an issue. But they want to rotate RJ Maryland into some wide receiver shares. Is this the dude that has played forever?
Yeah, he hurt his knee last year, finally coming back.
That makes sense because I remember RJ Maryland. I was like, man, I've known that name better than any other guy in college sports. I can tell you where RJ Maryland has started at. Like, we've been playing him since like 2022. It feels.
Yeah, he's a stud, man. He's been around a long time. I think he's up there with Trigg, one of the better tight ends.
Yeah, you could argue. That's what I love too. Is like, you are obviously on Dolchich very heavily coming out of UCLA just as a receiving threat. And now he might be the guy for the Giants there. But I do want to. A little off topic, but who are the top 3 tight ends in college football right now? If I had to press you, who are the top 3?
Man, put me on the spot.
Yeah, I put you on the spot, big.
That was terrible hosting, by the way.
I need to know.
Literally, you didn't make it easy on him. You didn't lead him into it at all. You just freaking put him right on the spot.
My bad. That was terrible, John. Are Trigg or RJ Maryland are one of them top 3 in college football at the tight end spot?
No, I would. Man, we have Claire at Ohio State, who I think is really good, and the Texas tight end injuries is also solid. And I thought the Michigan tight end last week, whose name escapes me.
Another one?
Yeah. Whoever they pumped out was really good. And then you have Joe Lee at NC State, Sadiq at Oregon. I mean, just there's so many good ones this year. I mean,
I got 5 tight ends right there. I'm going to be watching the rest of the season with some intent. Obviously, Andrews and Claire, we talked about them last week on the main slate. I love my tight ends, Tony. I mean, I'm a big fan of tight ends there, I'll tell you.
That's because Bruce always gives the winners with them. I like tight ends too.
I know. Because, like, you know what? We won't have a show for like one of those Friday or Saturday night slates, but I'm going to remember that guy was mentioned by Bruce on this show right here, right now. And that led me to shipping a contest later on.
Yep.
Anything else you wanted to add, Tony? I know you were talking about it, but I didn't mean to cut you off. If you want to add anything else to this game.
I mean, it's a good game. There's a lot of pieces. I think it's a little hard. I think there's just good plays on this slate as we go through it. I don't know if it's as much of like a game stack. In theory, a big total like this, low spread, in theory, I think people will game stack it. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's as good as people think, though. There's a lot of bodies in there that could do good.
Yeah, it's specifically for SMU, too. Like you said, and Bruce, you mentioned into the chat that Hudson got hurt last week, which was why Cooper got a big bump. if you were to do an SMU stack, I mean, you can make it pretty cheap. I mean, that's the one kind of advertisement for it in a healthy team total. If you did stack Jennings, you could get away with $16K for that stack with a double stack, right? And you could run it back.
Stack with Jennings too, though. Like that's another. Like he just runs too and stuff. He's just explosive.
Yeah, 100%. The good thing is, especially with Cameron at like 6K, like that Baylor's going to run their guys, out there for the full game in a close game. So, yeah, I'm with you though. Like I think this is one that we wanted to get away from Purdue last week. You might want to get a little bit away from this one as well. I mean, it's just interesting. Illinois, top-ranked Illinois. I mean, one of the top-ranked teams in the nation. Barely a favorite here against Duke. Altmaier is only 6,400 though. I was kind of shocked by that, Bruce. When I saw the Altmaier tag, I did think
he blows.
You think he blows?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything. I know he does. He's been around and he's terrible.
Oh, come on now.
Isn't he on the road? Like Uncle Dunkle, our old boy Uncle Dunkle's rolling over in his grave listening to you talk about the spot.
Luke Altmaier is an absolute stud. I'll die for Luke Altmaier just like I'll die for Arch Manning. All right.
There's quite a big difference in talent between those two guys.
Bruce, what do you think about a guy Luke Altmaier in this game?
I hope Bruce doesn't like him. No way he likes him.
I mean, so he's going to run a little bit here, which you hope you would run a little bit at 6,400. I mean that's really cheap. What is the total right now? It's 49.5. That's not terrible. And Duke
who we had vibes of? Trace McSorley. You can get on board Trace McSorley.
Yeah, I could see that a little bit. And I mean, I watched the Duke Elon game last week, and Duke had some issues stopping this running quarterback for Elon. He had 61 yards rushing and a touchdown. Before they figured things out in the second half. But I think it's not the worst play. I mean, he's cheap, so I hate playing quarterbacks on the road, but he's really inexpensive. I don't mind Darian Mensah though. At 6,200, I thought he looked great last week. His accuracy rating was at 88%, which is actually right behind Altmaier. Altmaier at 90%, which is pretty damn good. The running backs in this game, I want to like Caden Fagan here. He got 38% usage, 45% of the snaps, and his numbers are good. But they rotated Lawfrey in there too. Lawfrey actually started because Illinois has one of the best offensive lines in football this year. They rated very well coming into the year, and they should be really good in this game and kind of lean on Duke just a little bit. So, I'd much rather play the running game than play Altmaier, but I don't think he's a bad play either. This Cooper Barkate kid for Duke, I watched him play last week. He had 8 targets. It looked really, really solid. He's 4,900. Averaged 23 yards per catch. I think he's like a Division II transfer. And I think he looked really good. Kayshawn Brown is their wide receiver 1. He's only 5,900. Andrew Anthony is 5,400. All the Duke guys are right in that range. The Illinois receivers are actually really cheap here. Bowick scored twice last week. Beatty smashed last week. He's 3,800. And it's a good cheap game. If it kind of blows out, I can see it. But Duke's offensive coordinator wants to pass the football, which you love to see. I don't mind Mensah stacks. Sure.
I like that, especially a guy who dominated the Ivy League, Barkay. I love that. I love that info there. Tony, now that you are fully against Altmaier, I just kind of want to jam him in. Illinois is a top-tier Big Ten team this year. You know that, right? Like, I'm talking to my dad. My dad's going to the Ohio State game tomorrow. I had to say no because obviously it's a really busy Saturday for fantasy sports. But I asked him. I said, "Who do you fear in the upcoming schedule?" He mentioned Illinois. Big T. I mean, is he rightful as an Ohio State fan to be fearful of Illinois?
I mean, Duke isn't going to be scared of Illinois, so I don't know if Ohio State should be. I mean, Duke's going to win this game easy at home. Altmaier sucks. Like, he's terrible. I don't care what his price is. He can't throw it all. He can run a little. I mean, yeah, I don't like anything in this game, but I like Duke to win for sure because Altmaier is just terrible. Yeah, his weapons are cheap because he can't throw, so they should be cheap. And he's been bad forever. Like, you know how many times I've played this dude on like a Thursday night, Friday night, and he just blows? Like, he's awful.
The greatest part about this, Tony, is that I played like Luke Altmaier. I know at least once, and he has a 70-yard run after sucking the entire.
You just remember the one time when
I think he had 13 fantasy points in the half, and it was off one run. And like since then, like that's my guy. That's my guy, baby.
He's so
number
bad.
11 team in the nation. You're not going to take him on the road against Duke. I'll tell you the difference between these two schools. You type in Illinois schedule, it pops up, right? Easily, football. You type in Duke schedule, basketball comes up, all right? That's the difference between these two schools.
You keep playing that 2.5 on the road with a terrible quarterback and let me know how it works out for you.
Anyone can look good behind that O-line, like Bruce said. Best O-line in college football. They ain't going to be able to touch him. He's going to run for 100. I'm going to have to make a special
he's got a lot of room to grow off that negative 17 he had last week.
You didn't have to run, That's the big news. That's the big news right there.
Oh.
All right. So Manny Diaz put his ass in the blender the last time he played him. That's good stuff. All right. So it doesn't sound like you're too interested in this one here, Tony, but you also, Bruce said, if you did want to stack it up, you just got some cheap guys with Menza.
You're not stacking freaking all. We give winners on this show. You're not stacking freaking Altmaier.
I didn't. I said Menza. I said Menza.
Or Menza. You're not stacking freaking Menza. You're not winning money stacking these people.
Big T has spoken. You know what?
I don't have that many strong takes, but you're not winning stacking this game.
Hold on. I did something wrong. There we go. All right. So now that I've locked Altmaier, what do I do now? All right. Moving on to San Jose State going against.
You can't wait to play him, too. The funniest part, you're going to shove him so hard in there. I know you are.
I might just do his alt props and just keep my pride. I'm going to be the guy who dunks on you way after the game. Look at me.
You're not dunking on nothing. I want the update after the game either way. Send me because I know he's not going to do good.
Now I have to do it, even though I might not want to. I just have to.
No, you want to. Don't pretend like you don't want to. You definitely want to.
The biggest thing that you got right last week was Arch Manning, and I'll applaud you for that. You said he would suck against Ohio State. He absolutely sucked against Ohio State. You were on Ohio State spread. You said that Arch Manning couldn't get it done, in Ohio State. And he couldn't get it done there in the horseshoe. And damn right you were there, Tony. I mean, you nailed the hammer on the nail. Arch Manning looked bad, but everyone would have looked bad against that defense. Matt Patricia put on a mask.
Everyone uses the same excuse, too, for him. Always. Everyone would have sucked. Like, he was there all last year. This is his second year.
Best defense in college football.
Third year or second year? Second year?
Third.
It is his third year? I thought it was his third year.
He redshirted the first one, Bruce, right? Redshirted the first one.
Yeah, redshirt.
What does he need to be, a ninth-year senior before he can handle Ohio State on the road?
I mean, you love Bo Nix. Look what he did. That was his path.
I didn't like Bo Nix that much.
You just showed me his rookie card.
I liked him in the NFL. I didn't like him that much in college. So he was I hated him at Auburn.
That's fair enough. We're gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna go to Bruce though, because he's the big Texas guy here. Obviously, San Jose State.
We're back this week, Bruce. We're back on the same side. We're back.
Hook 'em
horns, baby.
Yeah, hook 'em, baby.
We are so back. Yeah.
Not listen 7 days ago, we were like this, but now
we were down last week, but we're back up.
Yeah, we're back up, baby. But the big thing with San Jose State last week was Scudero was definitely the only guy that you get looked for. That's not going to be a factor much today at 5'6", though. It's going to be all Texas. Bruce.
Didn't Bruce talk up Livingstone, by the way, and then he housed one?
Yeah, he got the only touchdown, the only good throw that Arch had on the day.
Parker housed one at Ohio State. It's doable if a guy named Parker does it.
Parker.
Yeah. Yeah, if you watch the San Jose State game on Friday night, it was pretty tough watch. Walker Eget looked terrible. He threw the ball 43 times, 9 of them to Scudero. As C. McDonald called him in the chat, Marco Scudero. And thought that was a good one. That's always what I'll call him, the former utility man for the A's, Marco Scutaro. But yeah, I think Texas rolls here. Early kick for San Jose State. Just hard to play. Wisner at 8,300. Baxter's at 6,400. Got 34% of the snaps last week. He looks to be healthy. I don't mind that. But the receivers, Wingo 7,300. Jack Andrews is 6,200. And I don't mind playing Scudero in this spot. I know it is Texas, but he does play in the slot, and they're gonna have to throw the football. Targets are gonna be there for sure. He got 15 last week. I know it was a really bad Central Michigan team, but if you want a good volume guy for cheap, 5,600 is not terrible. And the volume's definitely gonna be there. I don't mind going back to Livingston again if Mosley's out, because he's still 3,500 and starting on the outside. So I like that. But Arch Manning 9,600 in a game that they should win. It's not terrible, and I don't mind going back. Going to him. But there's some really good quarterback plays on this slate. You can play instead. We'll talk about those as we get to them later on.
Yeah, and this is a good point too by Devin Scott. Like, I do think I am a believer in this type of stuff where you struggle against Ohio State, a good extra quarter against San Jose State. It's like the medicine you need to take to believe in yourself. And I think Arch Manning's going to get a healthy dose of that medicine. The only problem is he's 9,600, right? And Big T, I mean, this is a good spot though. San Jose State, they looked awful last week. I don't think there's any way around it. I was praying that they lost. They didn't deserve that game. Their clock management was incredibly bad. Their kicker looked absolutely awful as well. And I do have to note, I love how you associate Scudero with the Oakland A's. I associated him with the Giants. I mean, he played for 6 teams too. I just looked him up. I was like, I thought he was a Giant. It's just like having those baseball guys. But Big T, what are you doing with this game here? I mean, Baxter 6,400. Our guy Devin Scott in chat just mentions like it's going to be a near 50-50 split. Baxter, he looked good to start the game last time out. Like he definitely looked halfway decent against Ohio State. Looked kind of healthy. So I do like that. What do you think?
I mean, I like Arch. I'm on Arch. 9,600 is tough, though. I will say that. It makes it – but this is the good part about college. Like, he struggled last week. Everyone saw it. I totally agree with the message in chat. I think they play 3 quarters probably, depending on the score, what it is and how bad it gets. The good thing is, though, if it gets real bad, that means he probably did good, too. So, yeah. I guess the running backs could do good. But I know that they want to get him going, and he's got rushing upside, too. I love that they priced him up so he won't be that high owned. And I love that you can play Wingo and then like Livingstone with them at 3,500. Any of these guys, though. Wingo, Andrews, DeAndre Moore, Parker Livingstone. I want to double stack Arch in this spot because
I love it.
No one's going to do it. And I think they get we talked about it a little last week on the show. There's something to be said for just easy points in a game where like if they won last week, I think they would be super conservative here and just try to win, but they lost. I think they want to showcase it. I think they want to hang like a 60 piece up there, and I want to be a part of it. So I'm going to play Arch, and I'm more than likely going to play 2 receivers with him, and Wingo is probably going to be one of them just because I think they want to get him going too. Livingstone just works because you got 2 expensive guys, and then he's 3,500. He looked good last week. I think he missed a touchdown and then got a touchdown, but he looked solid. Yeah, I'm on Arch. Last week, my take of the show was that I hated him. This week, I like him a lot.
I love that. And also, one of the things to note, too, again, Bruce puts together the sheet is so amazing. And Ryan Wingo played 100% of the snaps last week, right? And not to say, if they're only playing 3 quarters or whatever, but he'll be out there for, every down that Manning's out there, you can expect Wingo to be out there. I think that's kind of the rule of thumb there. Andrews played 89%. Then you had DeAndre Moore. Then you have Livingstone there, right? Or 97% of the snaps for Livingstone? Holy cow. I didn't expect that at 3,500. You talk about a cheap guy to kind of pair with Arch Manning there, Big T. Like, also your guy Adam Hill, like, right? You can kind of make
now
your
you're bringing me back.
Now I'm here. I'm so in on Adam Hill now, even though we haven't gotten to the Cats yet, who dominated Ole Miss last year. We're gonna have some good values, and that Livingston, is it Livingston? Is how you pronounce it, Bruce? Right? Livingston. It's not Livingstone.
I don't know. I think I don't know the pronunciation.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know how to pronounce it. But I don't want to disrespect the guy. Livingstone. That sounds like a badass. Livingston. I mean, you have some decent Livingstons in this role. I mean, Shane Livingston wasn't bad. It's all right. I'm going to be on board with you, Tony. I think I'm going to be stacking some Arch Manning with you. I love the case. I love the case you just made. Right? Coming off a bad game against Ohio State, they're going to lay some wood. They're going to lay some pipe. Bruce gives me that gem, Parker Livingstone, and double stacks with Arch Manning. I'm all in. All right, guys, let's move on. Oh God, I don't want to talk about this game. Can we skip this game? Iowa takes on Iowa State. Iowa State didn't look that bad in Ireland, but then you kind of learn that maybe Kansas State is just terrible too. I don't know. I mean, the good thing with Iowa State, obviously saw them last year, but I just didn't like the way they looked at all against Kansas State. I thought that Kansas State was the better team, and then they go out and lose, or almost lose, to North Dakota last time out. But Becht is cheap. Carson Hansen's cheap at 5,400 as well. I mean, Abusama is under 4K, so you have some opportunity here. But the Iowa defense, as always, is pretty stout. We got our guy not Gronk, but Gronowski. He's the next hope at Iowa in Iowa for the quarterback position. The big thing to note, though, and you have it with your projections too, the Iowa running backs are cheap. I mean, this kind of goes case in point too, where I was going to get excited about the Cats a little bit later on, just because you're going to have cheap running backs. The same thing can kind of apply to the Iowa guys, where Bruce, they got 40% of the snaps each, but I mean, 31 and 30 and 3K. I mean, it's tough to beat that for at least some touches that are guaranteed. What are you doing with this game overall, though?
Yeah, it's probably going to be a gross game. Usually, these two teams played a low total. I watched Gronowski play last week because I have a lot of shares in best ball, because he was always my last quarterback taken, or around there. He was available every last round. People didn't know about him, but he's a runner. I mean, he had 38 touchdowns 4 seasons at South Dakota State, rushing touchdowns. So you like to see that at the quarterback spot. He's 5,600. He's not like super quick. He's more of like a strong guy. He's kind of like Tebow kind of runner, 6'2", 235. Not like super fast. So he's going to run people over to get into the end zone. But you love to see that from a quarterback. It's just, this game is so gross. It's just always hard to play a quarterback in it, a low total like this. Last week, Amari Moulton got hurt on the first drive. He only played a couple snaps. So Terrell Washington and Xavier Williams, picked up the slack, and they're 3,100 and 3K. So those guys definitely have to be in consideration. Just because they should be able to run the football. Terrell Washington had 16 carries, and Williams had 11 last week. So those guys are going to get some work. I usually, Iowa State runs those 3 down linemen, and has an extra guy in the secondary, and sometimes they can have issues with the run. So I will have some interest in those guys. When you look at the receivers here, it's probably the tight ends like Brahmer and Burkle. If I'm going to play somebody on the Iowa State side, Brahmer had 2 touchdowns last week, and Burkle had 1. They love throwing to the tight ends. So I thought that looked really good the first 2 weeks. So, but other than the running game and the receivers, are the 2 tight ends for Iowa State, I don't really have any other interest.
Yeah, makes sense there. I mean, I just look at this game overall, and I have a question for you, Tony. How many passing yards did Iowa throw for against Albany last week without looking?
How many passing yards with Gronkowski?
Yeah. How many passing yards did Gronkowski
quarterback? I mean, Iowa. I have no idea. 50 yards.
You still highballed it. 44.
150, 44. I mean, I'm sure they didn't throw. What'd they throw?
15 times. They went 8 for 15 throwing the ball.
8 for 2. I mean, Iowa's embarrassed. How are they allowed to play this way every year? Like, they just never have to. And they're like well coached too. I think it's just they just don't adjust at all. So you can't ever win playing like this. You can be like solid, but you're never going to win anything when you just it's just painful. But like you guys said, 3,100 for Washington, though. No matter what the total is and no matter how ugly it is, what'd you guys say? You got 17 carries or something? I mean,
15.
I don't know how I'm not going to play him at 3,100 with how many studs we got on this slate. I almost have to play Washington, but nothing else in this game.
Xavier Williams and Washington combined for 26 carries last game. That's probably going to be close to a 50-50 split. They are both basically min-price. And
I love teams like that too with how I build college where if you just say you played those two guys, they're two cheap running backs, those two or whoever, it just lets you stack up two different teams like full studs.
Absolutely. And it's gross, but like at the same time, if you're playing Arch Manning, which you are, you're going to have to kind of play some of these 3K guys. And look, at the end of the day, you're still getting 12 to 15 touches most likely out of those guys for 3K. You're going to take that every day of the week. Depending on like, who do you think, if you had just had to go gun to the head there, Bruce, like who do you prefer out of those two? Because that's going to be a popular question probably in the Discord tomorrow.
Yeah, and their stats from last week were pretty similar. Xavier Williams had the better game. He had 11 for 122 and a touchdown, but a lot of that was like later in the game as well. So, yeah, I would probably lean playing Williams there, just because he had the one long run. His stats are a little bit better, but I don't mind Washington either. Both are going to be good plays.
Perfect. Alexa asks, where's Wiley, JBC, and Schlong? They'll be on tonight at 7 talking the NFL slate. This is the college football, though, and we're going to be talking the main slate for tomorrow. We're about halfway through there, but if you're looking for Showdown content tonight, be sure to check them out at 7 o'clock. The Showdown King show will be starting up then. All right, FIU. We can go ahead and do this with them. We can go ahead and hit that X out button. Then we're going to go to Penn State. I'm not even going to lie. You know what? No, I'm not even going to look at FIU. Same thing with Penn State as last week. And Bruce, you mentioned it. Like Singleton and Allen are going to get theirs. Drew Aller. I mean, they're going to get theirs. It's just a matter of who's going to do the best. I think the biggest case that you can make was the fact that Kyron Hudson last week looked extremely good. I think he was like a slate breaker. If I recall correctly, I think he was in the winner. And then you have Trevor Pena as well. It's just a matter of how close they keep it. Do they play 3 quarters or is it just going to be like 2.5? It's the same exact situation as last time. Are you going to kind of approach it the same way again, Bruce?
Yeah, it's kind of the same deal. Both running backs scored last week. It's always hard to get them correct. When I watched this game, when I watched the FIU play last week, they had some issues with Bethune-Cookman in the first half and kind of pulled away late in the second quarter. It looked really, really bad at first, and they pulled it together. But I just think that Penn State just rolls here. I'm not going to have a whole bunch. I don't mind Hudson at 4,200 again. Just he had 8 targets last week, played 60% of the snaps in a blowout. So yeah, I don't mind him. Pena also, kind of played the same. But when you look at the running back, 9K for Singleton is rough. 7,500 for Allen is still tough in a game that they should just roll here. The defensive line of FIU still got pushed around last week against Bethune-Cookman, so I think Penn State just rolls here. I'm going to mostly stay away, maybe have a piece or two, if it's like my last piece or whatever. But yeah, other than that, it's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. And you look at the snaps last week, you kind of expect the same thing. They blew out Nevada, 46-11, Nevada, don't matter what you call it. And then, both got, 38, 39%.
It matters what you call it. What do you mean it doesn't matter? You can't, call Oregon, you say Oregon or Oregon. It matters.
Oregon.
Yeah, but some people say Oregon and they're wrong. There's only one way to say it. You can't do that. It's Nevada.
Who did Penn State beat last week, Big D?
Nevada.
Okay, all right. You do it.
That's the only way to say it. It's not whatever else you said, Nevada or what would you say?
I said it, Nevada. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely don't run the tape
You're
back.
right. It's Nevada.
I corrected myself after I said Nevada, so I'm sorry. But Big T, again, another gross style from Penn State. You know they're going to put up 40-something points. It's just a matter of getting it right. Are you interested in playing, either the cheapish wide receivers or one of the running backs like Katron Allen or Nicholas Singleton?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to play those running backs. I do think, though, I do think Pena and Hudson are in play, though, even though I don't love leaning into this spot because it's just such a freaking blowout. And like we said last week, I think everybody gets one. These price tags are just pretty cheap. So, like if you get 15 again from Hudson or something, he got 20 last week, but if you get 15, that's pretty solid at 4,200. So I think Pena and Hudson are the two. I love Pena. I think Pena has upside to get like 30 in this spot. Yeah, just first half. I love the upside. This is the Syracuse guy, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot. So Pena and Hudson for me. And my other hot take is that Drew Aller sucks too, and he's supposed to be the number one pick.
Yeah, no, I don't think either of us are disputing that. I think we'll defend
He's supposed to be the friggin' number one pick. I'm going to say it every week on this show. I just can't believe it.
I am firmly with you. Some stats to throw out here. Both Pena and Hudson played nearly 60% of the snaps last time out, which I think is a very, very good sign, especially for the price tags of 4,200 and 5,800. Both did pretty well for floors. Pena 7 for 74, Kyron Hudson 6 for 89 and a touchdown. They also scored 4 of their 5 touchdowns were on the ground. So if you kind of flip that another direction, like let's say they throw 4 and rush 2 or something like that, I'm with you. I think the wide receivers are extremely good plays at that price tag, and if they're going to score 40-something points, it would not shock me if either or both got into the 20 range, depending on if they score a touchdown or not. Last week, NC State, CJ Bailey, I think, was one of the best quarterbacks on the slate. I think he was like one of the only good quarterbacks on the slate. And then you also have them going against Virginia, which I want to say, Chandler Morris, you said questionable for this one. You think he is going to give it a go, Bruce, but you mentioned he took a big hit, and it's a true questionable for you. I mean, I think that's like the kind of thing to watch for near lock. Luckily, they're a noon game. Chandler Morris, so 6,300. Not a terrible price tag. UVA overall, though. They got Cam Ross at 3,500. You flip it over to NC State, some good plays. Hollywood Smothers had huge carry rate, I think, last week. I think he had one of the top snap shares. Let me go ahead and just confirm that. But overall, like, what do you think about this game? It's decent total. I mean, it just seems like a decent game, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a fun matchup. I watched the UVA game last week because I kind of had question marks as to why Morris didn't play the second half, and yeah, he ran one for like 30, 40 yards and took a hit right near the goal line on his left shoulder, and never came back in the game. But the coach said that he's fine and he'll play, but I mean it looked like a hard hit. He stayed down for a long time and then finally came off. And he had shoulder issues when he played at North Texas as well. If you remember a couple of the slates we played him on, he would get hurt and not come back or try to come back and didn't look 100%.
Bruce, didn't his dad coach him or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he transferred away from his dad?
No, his dad, man, I cannot place where his dad was. I know he was at Clemson at some point, but yeah, I can't place where his dad coached.
Arkansas.
Yeah. He's been around, but yeah, he didn't play for his dad actually. He started at Oklahoma, I think, and then to TCU, and then to Virginia, or then to North Texas, and then to Virginia. I think that's the journey.
He lost out to Dugan that year, right? Max Dugan beat him out, and that's when TCU ended up going to the CFP and went to the championship even.
That's right.
But he was the one who lost out that job. He was actually he split snaps in that first game. There was a very real chance that TCU season never happens with Dugan.
Yeah, and he's such a good thrower. His accuracy rate's been good like every single year. When we played him on the slates when he was at North Texas, he did very well for us. So Virginia has a really easy schedule this year, and this is just another of those games. I thought NC State's defense looked much better last week, but when you like dig down into the numbers, their defensive line kind of got pushed around a little bit, even though Eastern Carolina couldn't really take advantage of it. I think Virginia can take advantage of it a little bit. They start Jamari Taylor at running back. He's cheap. He's only 4,300. Got 35% of the snaps. Should split with Xavier Brown here. They should be 1 and 2. Both are good backs, but I thought Jamari Taylor looked good. He scored twice last week as well. So, it's really cheap. He's definitely a solid play. Smothers, like you mentioned, got 86% of the snaps. I think this is a solid spot for him too. Virginia kind of got pushed around on the defensive line as well last week. And he's just a big play guy. So it only takes one for him to get there. One of the best receiver plays, I think, is Cam Ross. And this is if Morris is in and 100%. Cam Ross at 3,500. Man, he had a huge game last week, 9 targets, and he scored. I think he scored twice, maybe scored once. I think he scored another time on a return. He transfers in from UConn, and he looked really, really good. And 3,500, it's going to be there's just so much value on the slate, man. It's rough. I think he's probably a great play here. Trell Harris also for Virginia had 5 targets last week. Almost ran a deep one in for a touchdown. Wesley Grimes as well, 4,700 for NC State, and Justin Jolie, 5,400. I mentioned him earlier as one of the best tight ends in the country. And then Teddy Hoffman, 3,200, smashed for us last week. Didn't play a lot of snaps, but he was min price, and they just kept throwing it to him. I think they targeted him 6 times. He caught 5 or 6 of them. So I think he looks like a future stud if he's not a stud already.
Love that there. Cam Ross, only 3,500. Another guy who's sub 4K. You mentioned Jamari Taylor too, the value. I mean, at Big T, you just see the value, and I'm just starting to see, that case for Arch Manning. I already loved it beforehand, but then you start to see all these values just kind of trickle in. You're like, man, you got Cam Ross, you got other 3K wide receivers, you got 3.5K running backs, you got 3.4K running backs, all the values there for Arch. But in this game too, I mean, Hollywood Smothers, he was the guy who got the most snap or the highest snap percentage on this slate, which was 86%, which is always great to see. Big T, I mean, Chandler Morris, if he is healthy, if he is good to go, I mean, it is really nice to kind of have some Cam Ross, and even if you're looking at Jamari Taylor for that offense, Terrell Harris. Are you a big fan of Virginia at all in this one?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have some interest in Cam Ross. I mean, 3,500, and he just nuked last week. Where is he? He had 34 fantasy points, 7 for 124. And he's 3,500 in a good matchup. So he's got to be, if not the best receiver on the slate, close to it when you factor in price. And it's how the slate is. There's just really good plays that you can choose between when you're looking at these teams. Chandler Morris, I think Bruce described it perfect. I just don't understand why he gets hurt as much as he does. Because I liked him. I liked him in the last couple of years. I legitimately, when he's in there, it feels like he can put up big numbers, but then he'll just leave with his shoulder and he'll hold his helmet. And it's just not worth it on a slate like this. But I could see going to him if you really wanted to. But Cam Ross is the play there. And then you got Smothers, who is just way underpriced. He should be 8,500 and he's 6,500. I mean, he might be the top play of the slate as far as you just got to play him. I don't really see any way of not playing him. So I like him. Really, those are just the filler plays for me, though. I don't see a ton else in this game I like. If you play Smothers and Cam Ross, though, I think you're doing pretty good. I think they're both cash plays. I think they're both good fillers for your tournament teams. And I'll be heavy on both of them, even though they're both super chalky. I don't know how it says Cam Ross is only – I don't even know where I got these ownership, but 20%. I think he'll be higher than that. He was so good last week. His projection's good. Yeah.
I think Michael Jackson got above 50% last week, and I think this is a very comparable situation. Not that everything's 1-for-1 in life, but I could definitely see that 50% mark being eclipsed. Nothing really too much to add. I do want to mention that whenever Bruce says someone's got huge play potential and like they're a big play hitter like Hollywood Smothers and they play nearly the whole game, I mean, that is just music to my ears. And, not that that's going to be anything new, but when you're only 6,500, you have that combo. It is definitely tough to pass up, like you said, Big T. Like you just, how do you avoid playing a guy who is going to play damn near the whole game and also gets a good matchup here with a 30-point team total? It's really tough to get away. The biggest thing for me here was that apparently UConn is not terrible at football. So when I saw this spread here, I was kind of baffled. I almost just wanted to gut take Syracuse because there is no shot that UConn is less just a touchdown away from being as good as them. But I guess Syracuse got beat down last week, right? I mean, Tennessee kind of did very well against them. You also have it here to where, some cheap pricing overall, but these running backs like Yasin Willis, 6,300 is going to be a good play. You talked about John Tate Cook last week as well. Some very healthy projections overall here, Bruce. Are you on Team Syracuse or Team UConn for this one?
Yeah, I thought Syracuse played really well. I mean, their defense looked really bad, but I thought Angeli played well, threw the football well against a tough defense. Tennessee has a top defense in the SEC. So, I think Syracuse wins, but I don't totally discount UConn's ability to keep it kind of close. I love the Syracuse offense here. I don't want to play Angeli just because he's not going to run a ton. But the pieces like Yasin Willis, like you mentioned, 52% of the snaps last week, and just crazy usage at the running back spot. Will Nixon actually got the start for Syracuse. His dad's like the running backs coach or something. But once Yasin Willis got in there, he looked great. They couldn't put him on the bench. So I really like Willis here. Receiver spot, Cook and Ross Simmons both looked great last week. Both had 10 and 8 targets respectively. And Darryl Gill, he's priced at 6,500, but was a top receiver coming into the season. So I don't mind him either. Skylar Bell's probably the only UConn receiver I'd play. He was at Wisconsin before. We definitely played him when he was on some UConn slate. I think he's very talented, probably the most talented receiver that they have. And in a trailing script, I don't mind it.
Yep, I like that. I like that a lot there. Big T, what are you doing with Syracuse UConn?
One of the weirdest games projection wise I think I've ever seen, because you got, like on Sabre example, you got 32 to 25 or 26 score. And then UConn, you have the quarterbacks projected pretty good. Cam Edwards is pretty good, but then you got just a ton of guys in single digits. Whereas Syracuse, you might have the most double-digit projections I've seen. Like there's all the way down, there's guys that Cook is one of the better receiver plays. Willis is one of the better running back plays. Angeli, or however you say his name, is one of the better quarterback plays. You just have to. And then even lesser guys, Justice Ross Simmons is a good play. Will Nixon is a good play at 4K. Dan Villari looks like a good play. This whole team looks – sometimes I don't like teams like this, though, just because I feel like there's so many weapons. I mean, there's 2, 4, 5, or 6 receivers that are going to get some looks. Cook is going to be one of the more popular plays on the slate. So as crazy as it sounds, I'm going to be lower on this game than the field. They're good plays on paper, 100%, but the ownership's going to be pretty high because the projections are high. Prices are cheap. I'm going to be lower on this game than the field. And UConn, I mean, I don't know what to do with UConn. I don't like any UConn.
So last year, Q's threw for almost 500 on UConn, and 3 receivers had over 100 receiving yards. That's some good stuff right there.
They had like even better receivers last year, though.
Trevor Pena and Gads.
It looks super trappy to me, though. I'm just going to, it's 6.5 spread and 57 total. You said it coming in, how's UConn decent? I just feel like this game's trappy. Sometimes you just get a feeling for it. They are at home, though, which does help, and I'm sure they still play in that dome, right? I'm sure they do. It's got to be a decent home field advantage.
Yeah, two basketball schools going at it. You can't hate the former Big East action. Some stats to throw at you real quick. Justice Ross Simmons, 86% of snaps last week. Dan Villari, 91. Jonte Cook, about 66, but Cook led the team in targets with 10. And then obviously, if you go back to the running backs, the 23 touches on 50% of the snaps is absurd for Yassine Willis. Just shows you what their plan is when he's in the game. Probably just bash it down their throats a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you, Tony, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I do want at least like one of these wide receivers. The problem is if you're doing a main lineup, this is always like the tricky part. Is like you don't want to get one of those wide receivers wrong and then like be dead, right? You know you're going to get them to play damn near the whole game though. So that's the one advertisement for them. But like even like the Eagles slate last night, if you're doing your main team, it's like a reason why you didn't want to play AJ Brown and Devontae Smith is because their floors are literally 0. And you saw it yesterday. Like if you just jammed in CD with Hurts, Saquon and stuff, you would have had a really good day if you had Javonte. So. Yeah, I mean, it's like you don't want to miss on a main slate, but obviously I think there's a decent chance that one of those guys could just nuke the slate for anyone running, a stack like that. Kansas, Missouri coming off, did they play? No, never mind. Missouri and Kansas for this one. Bo Prabula, 6,100. Jalen Daniels, 6,600. Jalen Daniels is an absolute stud, one of my favorite quarterbacks in college football. Ahmed Hardy, 7K. I don't love this game at all from the outside looking in, Bruce. I mean, there is, Jamal Roberts is probably your best value at 3,400, but this game seems like one that I might kind of go away from. It's an okay total. Missouri's a healthy team total as well. But as far as Kansas goes, I don't think I'll play anyone from Kansas. What are you doing with it?
Yeah, it's tough to play these Kansas guys. I think, I think probably see Daniel Hishaw maybe 10% owned, but the rest of the game kind of under-owned. I do like the way Bo Prabula looked last week. I know that Sam Horn got some playing time as well, but he got hurt. So Prabula played most of the game, and had 65 yards rushing, a couple touchdowns, but it was Central Arkansas. But he was the running quarterback at Penn State before he transferred over. So maybe he runs a little bit more here. I don't really respect Kansas's defense. So, you get a running quarterback at 6,100. I don't mind that at all. I always struggle to play Jalen Daniels just because of his injury history. So I guess if you do play him, you expect him to, throw the ball down the field to Henderson and Pickett as two stud receivers. But, I kind of like the Missouri defense here. I like Missouri to win the game. I think they use Hardy quite a bit. I think he's good. Jamal Roberts started for him at 3,400. Only played 38% of the snaps, but that was pretty split with Hardy, and Hardy's 7K. So Hardy had the bigger game. Kind of closed it out. I just don't mind Roberts here at that price, 3,400. There's just a lot of good cheap plays this week, and it's gonna be tough to rank this week, but we'll try to do it and get as good as possible. Kevin Coleman Jr., receiver, probably my favorite receiver play on Missouri if you're trying to pair him up with Prabula, but you don't have to force that. I just think it's kind of a slower game with these running backs and Prabula doing a lot of the work.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that, Tony, you might have the same thoughts on this one. I'm very curious if you like any of these cheapies, potentially a guy like Jamal Roberts. What are you doing with it?
I mean, you're not guessing my stuff very good today.
I cannot believe you're on Missouri. I cannot believe you're on Missouri. There's no shot.
Maybe the two best plays of the whole slate. The quarterback is just like slam dunk city, like just slam dunk city at home. Like 6,100 Prabula. Last week he went. Granted, I know they played a high school team, but he had 65 on the ground, 23 for 28, 283, 2 touchdowns. 38 fantasy points. He's at home and he's 6,100 and he can run. Slam dunk city. Like I like Arch in tournaments, but as far as the best play, this is the best play of the slate on a quarterback. Like he's just slam dunk city. And Marquise Johnson at 5,700. coming off a nuke himself for 27 points, 5 for 134 and a touchdown. I think he's slam dunk city. So I love Missouri. I also love Hishaw. Like, he's only 5,100. That's just way too cheap for this spot for him. So low key, I love this game. I don't love it as far as the whole game overall, but the plays that I like those Missouri plays, I could even see double stacking with Kevin Coleman and Marquise Johnson. I think they're both great plays as I'm choking. Great plays. Marquise Johnson, though, man, he looked good to me. And I Prabula. How do you not like Prabula, Rubio?
So you want to know a funny part is I just looked up Bo Prabula. How much do you think he's getting paid in NIL this year? That was the first thing that came up.
Where's he from?
Penn State. Penn State.
He was in Penn State
He was
last
behind
year.
dollar. Yeah.
He might have got at Missouri now. Give me $500K.
1.5 million.
1.5. Now I like him even more.
I tell you what, there's no better advertisement unless you're Nico. I'm a quitter. There's no better advertisement for a quarterback than getting paid 1.5 million. I'll tell you what, that got me 6 to midnight there, Big D. I'm on board with Bo Prabula.
He's at home too. This is again, shout out to my boy Dunkel, wherever you are out there, Dunkel. Home field means more in college football than other sports. We saw it last week with Arch. You used the excuse, Ohio State. At home versus Kansas, I don't see how you don't play Prabula. I'll just say it. Like, I guarantee he's in cash lineups. There's no way our boy Third and Schlong isn't playing him in cash. He slam dunk city, and I think he goes great with Arch teams because Arch is a little lower owned. I don't know. There is a lot of value, though. Arch might end up higher owned than we think just because there's so many value. But I love how that comes together. So I'm in on it.
We're arching for Prabula, baby. Come on now. Let's go. All right. So now, I hadn't looked at the complete slate there. I didn't know exactly point per dollar, all these projections and stuff. Like I said, might be holding hands with you at the top, Big T.
It's a good part of this show, and it's why I don't like looking at stuff that much before the show because we talk through it, and sometimes stuff pops out. Sometimes Bruce throws some guys I like out. But I mean, plays like this to me are just he can run, and he's 6,100 at home. I don't really see a lot of downside to the play. I know nothing about him. I want to say that. I know nothing about him. But as far as on paper, it looks like just slam dunk city.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I thought this was funny. They gave him all Luther Burden's cash. I like that. Luther Burden go to the Bears. So Ole Miss goes to Kentucky. There has to be revenge on Ole Miss's mind. The big thing here, though, is obviously they've lost a little bit of talent. Jackson Dart, more specifically, going into UK, which is always a tougher atmosphere just because they play defense well. Their offense will be absolute dog water, as we saw last week. It was pretty bad with Calzada. I'll tell you what, we didn't get a chance to talk about Austin Simmons last week, but that dude might be like one of the smartest guys in America. I mean, when I saw from him, I was like, holy cow, this dude like graduated or like went to college, is already in grad school or something at like 19 years old. Something's like just crazy, but Austin Simmons just seems like an absolute stud of a person. Last week they were on the night slate. You know, I think you mentioned you like guys like Caden Lee last week. You got Quan Lacey, Harrison Wallace. You go over to the UK side. The only notable real thing about that, I don't think you're going to have to be playing much Calzada at 5,500, but their running backs are really cheap. Both Seth McGowan and Dante Dowdle are pretty cheap at 3,400 and 4,100. McGowan is more likely to be the receiving back if they are trailing in the game here, and Calzada could be looking his way a little bit. Overall, what are you taking from this SEC matchup, baby? Bruce?
Yeah, that's I think that you just if you think that Kentucky's trailing, you just take Dowdell out of your pool because he's not going to catch the football. McGowan's more of that pass catching running back. So he still played 53% of the snaps last week too, and I thought he looked solid. Scored a touchdown. What surprised me was Quan Lacey's snap count and his usage, which was crazy. 67% of the snaps. Got 16 carries, had 3 rushing touchdowns. I didn't even realize that I was busy working on others. So he absolutely smashed. He looks like a stud. I think he transferred from Missouri, if I'm not mistaken, as well. We just talked about them, but he's a good good running back, good play in this game. They're at home. They're looking for revenge. He's only 5,300.
On the road, though.
Oh, is that on the road?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
It's in Lexington.
Yeah. I mean, how many people are really going to be there?
No doubt.
Yeah,
They're selling out, baby. They were pumped up for some Toledo. Apparently, the music sounded like it was just like an old 80s timeout, right? It was just terrible music. So they got to be pumped up for some Ole Miss. They got to correct their mistakes after they let Toledo hang around.
All right, I stand corrected. But Harrison Wallace had a huge game last week. 9 targets. Smashed. 23% target share for Ole Miss. Which happens, you have those Penn State receivers that transfer elsewhere, and they just play out of their mind because they're just happy to, not have Drew Aller throwing the ball to them. So that's, he might get that Drew Aller ball there. But he's only 4,900, and he looked good last week. I don't mind going back to Caden Lee. He just didn't get any volume, only 3 targets, but he's a stud. He's only 6,700, so it's not terrible on a slate with a lot of value. Scribbling as well. He got 4 targets last week, 65% of the snaps though. So, I feel like they're going to try and run up the score if they can. So I like him a lot. I just think they absolutely destroy him. And then Daquan Wright, one of the better tight ends in the country. He's only 4,400. Had 5 targets last week too. So yeah, it should be a gross game, but I think Ole Miss just rolls here. Austin Simmons, not a bad quarterback play. He's going to be slinging it, can run decently well. So I just think Ole Miss smashes him here.
Yeah, Big T. I followed that UK game. I watched a little bit of it. How can you barely beat Toledo and then just be I would say a minimal dog to Ole Miss compared for their standards? When I absolutely saw that spread, what was it, 9.5? Like, you're getting 10. If I'm kind of going to Ole Miss, I'm taking my money to the bank. I'm just shoving a minus 9.5. I don't know how I can see Kentucky keeping this close unless they just somehow find some magic with Calzada. What are you thinking about this Ole Miss UK game?
I think I'm on the other side of you guys.
Nah, you're crazy. You're crazy.
I don't think Ole Miss is that good, and I don't like road teams in the
That's
conference this early in the year. I think it's going to play uglier. I do like Lacey. I like Lacey a lot. 5,300. It's that same price point as Heshaw in the Kansas game, same price range. I like Lacey a ton in that spot. But man, McGowan is another guy that is in this 3K price. I didn't even know he was a pass catcher until Bruce said that. I liked him when I thought he wasn't. I was just in my head. I was thinking he was more of a runner. I liked him still at 3,400. And then now I find out he could be good in a trailing script too. I like McGowan, and Ole Miss is tough too. They got a lot of different pieces. I don't like Ole Miss near as much as you guys. I hate Austin Simmons in this spot. I don't like their receivers in this spot. I do like Lacey, though. That's the one agreement I have. But Lacey and McGowan, I think this game plays super ugly, too. Even if Ole Miss wins, I don't think it's because they're going up and down the field. I think it's like a 27-10 game or something if they kill them.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot of like Calzada just can't move the ball. They start drives on like the 50.
Calzada's going to be bad. I do agree with you.
That's the problem for me is I just don't believe in this offense.
I don't believe in the offense either. So I kind of agree with you with that. I just don't think Ole Miss is going to be. I think this is a low scoring game. Like what's the total? The total is 50.
That surprises me too.
I like the under. I mean, I'm going to bet the under. I can guarantee I'll bet the under.
It's so nice betting minus 110 spreads when I lay 40 cents of juice on every bet, usually with my live bet. So I'll be down the under with you as well. My friend who, Lambier, Big T's in the Discord.
Big Bill Lambier?
He is a UK ticket holder, and he was on McGowan last week when he scored and stuff. And he's like, why is McGowan 3,400 tomorrow in a trail script at home? Lock. Huge. That's what he said.
He feels like a great play to me. No matter, and the good part of him is it's not going to matter game script. Like he's 3,400 and he's going to get work either way. Bruce got me excited. I sparked a little bit when he said he's a pass catcher.
Yeah, he's the one that that almost got 70 years in jail. Remember?
Yeah,
We were
armed
talking about
robbery. You could say that price is a robbery, man. That 3,400, baby. Yeah, boom. That's a bad joke, baby.
I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. One out of however many people watch this video are going to think that's good. That was you, Bruce. I appreciate it. Let's move on to Oklahoma State and Oregon. Oregon with Dante Moore at the helm. I mean, this is going to be a typical just Oregon just absolutely rolls. I have a tough time, ever playing Oregon pieces because I do feel like they kind of spread the ball around a ton. Noah Whittington, though, absolute stud. With Oklahoma State, this is a tougher spot. None of the projections, they don't seem to project very well at all here, Bruce. What's your take on Oregon here?
Yeah, it should be a Oregon smash spot for sure. The weird thing last week is what did Oregon do with their running backs? They played Whittington like most of the game. Mekhi Hughes had like one carry, and everybody thought that he'd be the starter. I don't know if it was like disciplinary or what, but like he's 8,700 one carry last week. He's going to be unowned unless we figure out why he only got one carry. But he's he's so talented. I don't know why they didn't play him. But if Whittington starts again, 56 or 5,500 for him is way too cheap. Against a bad defense. Oklahoma State's defense is just terrible. Oregon's offensive line is really good. I thought Dante Moore looked solid for them as well. And the receivers, Gary Bryant, DeCorian Moore, Sadiq, the tight end, are all solid plays. But it could get out of hand. Gavin Freeman at 3,900 is probably the only Oklahoma State receiver I'd in tournaments. It's just gross. Other than Whittington, it's hard to play much of this game.
Yeah, some news on Mekhi Hughes here is that Dan Lanning basically said that they had other stuff called for Mekhi Hughes, but they had the Montana State defense or whatever dictated they got checked into passing plays. But it doesn't sound like Mekhi Hughes is running back number one at all. And then he kind of continued to talk about how they have so many talented running backs in the room. Yeah. I mean, that is a strange situation. That is something to kind of track. Obviously, DK isn't going to drop his price anytime soon at that 8,700 price tag. You can definitely rule him out, but it's more of an impact on the other players here, without a doubt. Big T, what are you doing with Oregon?
Oregon's a nightmare. I mean, Bruce described it perfectly. Mekhi Hughes has been awesome for multiple years, right? And then he comes here, perfect spot, doesn't get all the run. Whittington, who I don't even think's any good, gets the run. They got a lot of different pieces like they always do. This to me feels like just a stay away spot. There's so many good plays on this slate overall that you just don't need to get super creative. So I'm off this game. I'll make it easy.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I'll if I might play some Noah Whittington. I like my guy Noah Whittington. Hobbs mentions that Oklahoma State couldn't run the ball at all versus a garbage school last week. So yeah, that'll be notable for future weeks. Like you said, playing Oregon this week might not matter, but in future weeks, that'll be notable to kind of see how they do against Oregon for sure. If that's something that will kind of maintain. Florida takes on USF. If you watched the Florida game last week, they ran the score up. They were going no huddle with a minute left. Even after a guy was injured and they could have ran out the clock, they threw it for a 20-yard touchdown. Rubio was running his ass off. Anthony Rubio, whatever, was running his ass off like it was.
You were out there? You weren't running.
You know what was funny, Big T, is I bet the under of that game live. DraftKings, for whatever reason, still had it up, and it was like minus 200. When I saw what Florida was doing, if it wasn't for the injured player, I would have been out of money. But I cashed out and then threw it on Florida to score at plus 400, and they just threw the ball inexplicably. It was one of the biggest run-up situations I've ever seen. There was zero reason to score for Florida with 30 seconds left, already up 50. I mean, it was disgusting display of sportsmanship. But you know what? I respect it. That brings some fantasy points our way. DJ Lagway didn't have to play at all. That's the one thing I don't really want to take into effect is all the stuff last week that Florida did because outside the first quarter and a half they weren't full speed at all. At least for the starters. Bruce, this is going to be a much more competitive game. You'd hope. There are some spots here for Florida. Jaden Ball is the one who projects the highest. What are you doing with this game?
Yeah, anytime you can, you have the chance to run up the score on the Long Island Sharks, you do it. That's what I always say. They just absolutely smashed them here. Jaden Ball looked great. I think Vernell Brown the third actually looked really great. He had a one-handed crazy catch on one drive I think before the half, and he's only 3,400. He started as well, so I think this game could stay could stay close if somehow Byron Brown plays like he did against Boise last week. So it could be sneaky. I think Byron Brown's kind of a sneaky play if you like this game to kind of stay close, and the pace should be nice. I think so. I don't mind him. Jaden Ball is probably one of the better running back plays on the slate. He's just too talented. 5.78 yards after contact last week. He just does. His stats were similar to that last year in SEC play. So I think I think he's a good play here. Also, I mentioned Vernell Brown, but on the USF side, Chase Nimrod, 4,400. He's not bad. And Sean Singleton on the USF side. Eugene Wilson's always a good play for Florida. 5 targets last week. In a game that stays close, these receivers could smash for sure.
Yep, I like that. And yeah, you just kind of forget that South Florida just put an absolute beat down on Boise State. I kind of forgot about that. 34-7. The spread was moving in their favor the whole time, and it made a lot of sense why. Big T, Jaden Ball, and who else from this game?
Yeah, Jaden looks like a really sneaky play, too. I don't think he's going to get that much ownership. He looks really good. I mean, last week, again, a lot of these teams played bad teams week 1. He went 9 for 104. I think he has upside in this matchup. South Florida looked good last week. Florida, obviously, all the Florida teams looked good last week for once. Back to the old days. But I love him. I don't think this is really a receiver spot for me. So it's just Jaden for me on the Florida side. And then South Florida, I can't really – I do love the quarterback, though. He was a bowling ball last week. Just looked amazing in there. But I definitely do not like him on the road. And the theme of my whole show here, I don't like these road teams as much. So just Jaden for me in this spot. And I don't love this game. I don't love the afternoon games outside of Missouri.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense there. Brian D89, if I don't get my hat, I'm driving my truck.
What does that even mean? What hat?
Brian, if you want a hat, DM the Run Pure Sports account, and we'll make sure to get you set up. Just show that you want a hat or something like that. Have the proof that you did it, and then we'll kind of get you set up there. But it sounds like you want a hat, Tony, and no one gave him the hat. That's my guess. We'll give him a hat. Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to give him one.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, I mean, I don't
want him driving in a freaking lake either. I want him to have a hat.
Yeah,
don't drive in the lake after you get the hat, though.
Yeah,
you gotta keep the hat dry.
Yeah,
don't be on your phone while you drive either. Take Fallick will get you.
Fallick will come after you if you're texting and driving.
We'll get that solved for you, Brian.
I thought of Fallick the other day. I was texting like usual when I was driving, and I literally almost clipped like 4 cars, and I was thinking of Fallick. Like, man, Fallick would be so mad at me right now.
God, yeah, get autopilot, damn.
I don't have those fancy cars like you, Rubio. I don't got no autopilot.
You made fun of my car for years.
Yeah.
All right. So for Bruce, for Big T, and for we appreciate y'all for watching. We'll have a pick six. I'm going to post a pick 6 on the Twitter here in a little bit. I'm going to consult with Bruce. I'm going to send him a few plays, pick out our favorites. I'll have Big T kind of add in some input as well. We'll post a pick 6
last week. Did you pick any winners or did you go over again?
I went 2 for 2. We had I got to look at my recents, but we had the Arch Manning, the freebie. I only did a 2 pick because I was just.
We had an under for saying.
It was the under on saying. I forgot to do a full 6 this week, but I'll post to Twitter.
Only going 2 is pretty soft.
Yeah, well, I kind of forgot about it. Big T. Yeah. I kind of forgot. Like it was like 11:55, and I was oh man, I forgot to post pick 6. But this will 100% be posted again for all 3 of us. We appreciate y'all for watching. Hit like and subscribe for us. Have a great rest of y'all's day, and good luck this weekend.